Welcome to the TheDPost Sports Chat. I'm Drew Rubenstein here with Todd Murray. And Todd, the WVU women's basketball team made a run to the Big 12 tournament championship game and lost in a heartbreaker to Baylor. And I guess to start off with here, before selection Monday, how much does that loss to Baylor hurt WVU seed? Does it really do much in terms of the NCAA conversation?
Well, certainly a win would have helped, but I don't think a loss did too much, to hurt them. I think, they came into the tournament. They were, either a 2 or 3 seed, depending on, how you want to look at it. They just didn't want to do anything to drop into a 4 or 5, which would have meant getting upset early on. Once they got to the championship, I think, regardless of what had happened against Baylor, that I think they're pretty much set. You'll see them as either a 2 or 3 seed in the tournament when the pairings come out on Monday.
Something that we've discussed is where they're going to find themselves location-wise, and it seems like from where we've gone through things, there's very few, really, if any, sites that they're not going to be playing on somebody's home floor, even though they're going to be at 2 or 3, which means they're going to be playing on a 6 or 7. Is that still the case here, or are there any opportunities for them to find themselves on a neutral site?
I would say probably very slim being on a neutral site if you look at who's hosting this year. As you kind of go through the sites, it seems like Iowa City, Iowa, and Baton Rouge, Louisiana would pop up as likely destinations. I think at one time it was Chapel Hill, but North Carolina has kind of made a little bit of a push here toward the end of the season and into the tournament. Would probably be unlikely to see them in Chapel Hill. So, again, you're probably looking at a second round matchup against an Iowa or an LSU, on their home court.
How big of a deal is that? This team's played well on the road. It is the NCAA tournament. How much of a difference does that really make? I mean, is that a deal breaker there, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think for this team. I mean, when you play that Big 12 schedule, you play every team in the league on their home courts, and there's some really tough places to play. An Iowa State, a Baylor, an Oklahoma State, and they've won at all 3 of those places this year. And if you look at the NCAA women's tournament over the last 7 or 8 years, the highest seeded team has won the majority of the time, even if they're on somebody else's home court. So I don't think that's going to faze them very much.
Let's look at the bigger picture with this WVU women's basketball team, putting in perspective what they've accomplished during the regular season and the conference tournament, and have they written the story of their legacy, or is what happens in the NCAA tournament really what's going to be remembered about this team? Yeah,
I think ultimately, fairly or not, what they do in the NCAA tournament is ultimately going to define this team. And you look at they could end up with 30 wins, a school record, but if they were to fall in the second round, I don't think you could look at this season as anything but a disappointment. I know that sounds harsh, but that is how how fans ultimately look back on the year, and that's why they're really trying to make a push here to get over that second round hump this year and see what they could do at a Sweet 16.
How do you think they'll handle the pressure? Because this is a team that has found itself in a lot of close games, and a quality about it that we've discussed throughout the season. It doesn't seem like they really care how many points they're down by at different points in the second half, or even if they build a lead and the opposing team completely comes back. They've never really been rattled, but when they enter the NCAA tournament, I mean, they know that more so than any other year, there's kind of this big expectation that this is the West Virginia team that has a chance to really make some noise. So how do you think they're going to handle that pressure?
I think with having so many seniors, so many upperclassmen, that it wouldn't be as big a deal if this were a young team. And you're right, they've played a bunch of close games and managed to win most of them. They came up short in the Big 12 title game against Baylor. I mean, some folks might argue that that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Maybe, get that out of the way. You had the loss. Now go into the NCAA tournament. I know Mike Carey told the players after the game, remember that feeling going down the stretch. We didn't execute. We've got to execute from here on out. And I think they will for the move. I'd be surprised if they don't once they get into the NCAA tournament.
Last one for you. If WVU does make a little noise, say makes Sweet 16 or beyond, where's Mike Carey in the National Coach of the Year conversation in your mind?
Yeah, I think certainly he will get some support. I mean, this is a tough year because you've got Gino Auriemma at Connecticut and Muffet
Sure.
McGraw who are undefeated, and it's kind of hard not to reward coaches for excellence. And undefeated is you can't improve on an undefeated record, so that would be tough for Mike as far as Coach of the Year. But I'd be surprised if he doesn't get some support for that.
All right, very good. Todd, appreciate your time once again, and please continue to check TheDPost.com for the latest on the Mountaineers. Thanks for watching today.